obviously here at the SABC, we've been bringing you rolling coverage. We also have been bringing you some of our latest digital technology that we have incorporated. And as you can see on your screens, we're visually representing some of the facts and figures at this hour, given the data that has emerged. We've been tracking what's unfolding now on the back of, the 51.5% of the voter districts that have been declared for the national ballot. These are your top three contenders as it stands South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa representing the ANC at this point at 3 million, receiving about 42% of that national vote. That obviously is a projection. That is the results that have been trickling in real time at this hour. So as we monitor developments, just to obviously coming in at second place now, that race continues. It is heating up. John Steenhuisen from the Democratic Alliance is on. He's at 1.67 million votes. That obviously also gives him quite a large percentage, about 21% of the 23% rather, I beg your pardon, of the votes at large, and then 11% for Zuma's Sizwe Party, which roughly translates to about just over 700,000, almost reaching that 800,000 mark, 772,109 to be exact. So those are your top three contenders. As we take a look now at more of the figures and the data emerging, let's extend that now to what that voting race is actually going to be looking like. We've got your five contenders at this point: ANC, DA, MK, EFF, PA. Let's look at what that represents for the country at large as per the results trickling in. The ANC at 42.3%, the DA 23.4%. We're obviously seeing MK sitting there as a newcomer. They're on 10.8%, and then the EFF, they're currently at fourth, 9.6%, and just after them coming in, or trailing rather, in fifth position, the Patriotic Alliance, the PA. They're at 2.8%. So it's also going to be interesting to see, how independent candidates have fared. We haven't seen any of those results make too much of a mark on those numbers that have been trickling in. But the race is still long, and we're still monitoring those developments. But as it stands, all this data is reflected as per that 58.6% national turnout that has been accounted for as we speak. So as we continue now, that graphic user interface continues here. We're looking at more of the GUI at this point. In fact, Leanne and Sakina really also just alluding to the fact that now, with us having reached that 50% threshold, it's easier to move beyond speculation now and perhaps look at, what this is going to translate for the National Assembly as well, for leadership at large. Let's take a look at what that means. We're looking at that race for the seats nationally with that turnout at 58.6%. This obviously projected figures, the predicted seats coming through at this hour with 52% of the progress. Obviously needing to occupy about 400 of that seat. So let's look here. The ANC predicted to receive about 160. They're in green. They are receiving at this hour, it seems like they're receiving the majority of the seats at 160. The DA coming in second, 87. They're in blue. You can see on your screens here, moving from the ANC, of course, to the DA here. So they were getting about 87. Just after them, I'm going to Sizwe, as we mentioned, that new comer to the political landscape. 6 months into their formation, they seem to also be making a formidable, mark in these elections. Out of those 400 total seats, MK are projected to receive about 58. Of course, that is per that CSIR model. You can see there in the light green on your screens in that graphic there. As we continue now, we're obviously looking at the top five at this point. The EFF, they're in red. The projected seats at this hour, 38 seats. That's in the National Assembly. And then running off that, of course, the Patriotic Alliance. We're also looking at what they're projecting. My camera can just pan out a little bit so I can see, the latest figures there. After the EFF, the Patriotic Alliance and some of the other parties, perhaps even independent candidates at this point, are set to receive the remainder of the 57. They're represented there on the grey area on your screen. So as the predictions continue, the possibilities, the probabilities, we're trying to make sense of those numbers here on the SABC. Do stay tuned for all that and more.